integrating cyber defense and AI intelligence in actuarial science. Over to you, Ms. Asha. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We had a highly engaging first day of discussion, a lot of takeaways. We had some inspirational messages from people. Dr. Devi Shetty's was particularly inspirational. And then, of course, we had the message from the Prime Minister, which again is giving us a lot of impetus to go forward. And just now we heard the Secretary DFS talk to us. And I think the expectations of the profession are very high, and the bar is getting set very, very high for us. So looking forward to another day of interesting discussions. See, we have been talking about artificial intelligence for quite a number of years now, 5 to 6 years, but it still seemed a bit distant. Now it seems to be in your face. The productivity gains and the efficiency which we can get from artificial intelligence seem to be very too good to be resisted anymore, correct? As and when we are speaking, there's a lot of pressure in all industries to adopt AI. So there's a conference which is going on next door where they're talking about artificial intelligence in agriculture. And insurance industry is particularly data-driven and therefore seems ripe for the use of AI. But it's not an easy decision, correct? We are a regulated industry. There's a lot of compliance. And we're also an old industry, and therefore we have a lot of legacy systems. And whatever decisions we take, correct, they will have a significant outcome on the customer. So given where we are today, we are going to be exploring how should we evaluate use of artificial intelligence in the insurance sector. What are the kind of questions which we should be asking? What is the leadership thinking? How should we look for return from whatever initiatives which we take on terms of artificial intelligence? So there's a slight change. We are not going to be talking about cyber security. So it's going to be use of how we leverage artificial intelligence, what are the use cases, and how do we evaluate the ROI? So we are first going to start with Raman's presentation. She's going to be talking about using artificial intelligence in our actuarial models. I mean, so actuaries are core to the industry, and therefore we'll also be one of the prime candidates for using AI in actuarial models. So she's going to talk about actuarial models and use of artificial intelligence in actuarial models. And then we are going to start off a discussion with Subhrajit and Chandra. So over to you, Raman.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ramanpreet, and I work with Tata Consultancy Services. Today, I am here to give you a glimpse of the paper that I have written. In that paper, I have introduced a practical AI-enabled risk intelligence framework. So, presentation, please. Yeah. So let me give you the brief that why this topic matters. We all know that India is going through a huge protection gap between what risk people are actually facing and what coverage insurance industries can provide. Along with that, climate risk is no more a distant event. It is actually there and already started impacting our mortality, morbidity, and health outcomes as well. In the past, extreme events like heat waves or floods, they used to be the isolated events. But now, as risks are evolving, climate is changing, these risks are actually started interacting with each other. They are becoming dynamic. And our traditional models are not yet prepared to include those impacts. So that's where we really need to enhance our analytics, and we need AI-enabled systems so that we can accommodate those risks. And that's where this framework comes into the picture. So you can see there's a first layer, data layer. And actuarial, everything starts with the data. So if we say that we will get the data from various weather sites, because that is possible. So once we get the data, as per this layer, AI will make it organize, AI will prepare it and organize it in a way that we can use it for the further analysis. Over here, I have taken the example of an extreme event, heat wave. So what if we get the data of temperature, pressure, humidity, and it will get calculated with the predefined formula. For example, WBGT that I have taken over here, wet bulb global temperature, that is the indicator of heat wave. So if that is also get calculated, we'll get the information about outdoor exposure risk, urban heat intensity. So in this layer, data, we will understand that what kind of data we have. We'll try to understand the data. Once we get that, now the next thing is that what insights or what information we can have that from the data. That's where our second layer comes, AI modeling layer. In this layer, with the use of machine learning and statistical tools, we can actually identify the patterns. And the broader AI will actually interpret that pattern as a risk in the risk intelligence information. So for example, if we talk about heat wave only, so if we get that, okay, there is a temperature increase, WBGT is going to be greater than 30 degrees for consecutive 5 days, what AI will do, it will start looking in the other similar pattern, like hospitalization has been increased by, maybe after 7 days of this heat wave event. So AI can actually correlate the two things and give us the information about it. That's where this layer works. And then, once we get the information that what this data is speaking about, the next thing will be that what to do with that data. Information is there, but what should be done? And then there comes the third layer, which is actuarial application layer. So we can get information or suggestions, like there is an heat wave, we should be uplifting our assumptions. There are insights that we are getting which needs to be directly feed into the pricing reserving models. For example, what if I'm putting the data into the system and system is looking into the pattern and then it is telling me that we suggest there needs to be increase in the mortality by 5%. And then, once we understand what to do, the last layer will come, which will tell us how to do that. That is where integration and deployment will come into the picture. Whatever information we will get from actuarial application layer, we can actually integrate that in our business models. We can create dashboards, we can create automated data pipelines so that data can flow through. So again, in the previous example, as I said, that AI can give us the information, suggestions basically, that mortality needs to be increased by 5%. We can say that it is, once we will increase that, it will impact our results which are outside the threshold of the particular geography. So that will give us the end-to-end relation between data to the result. That is in the business action. And then the last layer, actually not last, governance and ethical oversight layer. That is one of the important layer. And you can see it is not the one layer. It should be actually embedded in each and every layer. We need to look into the explainability, documentation, fairness, and human sign-off. Each layer has to have explainability tools that are going to be there to explain the reasons. And each layer has to be validated by human sign-off. So as per this framework, we can say that AI can detect complex, non-linear relationships between the various impacts that we have. And then it can actually enables granular segmentation and early risk signals. Currently, as we are looking into the signals as an annual event, we will get the claim data and then we will look into it. We can actually use AI and keep the regular monitoring. It enhances pricing, underwriting, reserving decision because we will get early risk signals. We can actually look into the assumptions beforehand. We can do stress testing. And hence, it is not going to replace. It is going to support our decision making. It can enhance our decision making. Because in today's world, it is not the question that risk is there or not. It is more about whether our models can evolve as fast as risk is evolving. In this dynamic or interacting risk environment, if we can integrate AI into our models, that is actually going to bridge the protection gap that we have in India and help us to support a sustainable insurance system for the Viksit Bharat. Thank you.
Thanks, Raman. That was really very insightful. I think most of the time actuaries spend a lot of time explaining the results, and if AI can somehow help, that's certainly something which we should be looking at as a use case. Now let's start off more from a business point of view, an insurance business point of view. And like I said in my opening remarks, AI is something which is staring in the face, and there's a lot of pressure for all of us to adopt AI because it promises so much of efficiency and productivity. I would like Subhrajit to set some context to where the insurance industry is now in terms of, what are the challenges, and therefore what could be the, how should we evaluate AI? Because if it's going to promise efficiency and improvement in profitability, but it's also going to come at a cost, So how should we evaluate AI as an insurance industry, particularly in the Indian insurance context?
Yeah, thank you, Asha. Good morning, everyone. I think it's a very interesting question to begin with, and some of the grapples that we always have at our board meetings, at our management level, and even at a very ground level as well. We are, so far, our adoption to the AI, especially the GenAI portion of the last couple of years, has been more to do with the POCs and pilots as such. But that's more of a bottom-up approach. But we see a lot of top-down strategy that can also be played out. And one of the key aspects of this is to really understand some of the cultural aspects. So as an actuary, we are very comfortable with a probabilistic outcome, but in reality, people have so far lived in a very deterministic approach. We had always a rule-based outcome. Even our technology advancement so far has been based on a very deterministic options. It's like what they call an if and then approach. Suddenly, we are moving from a deterministic to a probabilistic approach, where there are hallucinations, there are incorrect answers, there are not necessarily authentic response, and especially with respect to compliance, where the boundaries are very clear, you cannot have a very answer which you cannot rely 100% on that. So, first your management and the board needs to understand for a decision-making purpose that one needs to be complacent with a probabilistic outcome also. If it is and the benchmark can be set aside, and they can put a particular number and they can accept that possibility. While for a compliance purpose, you may not be happy with a probabilistic response, because there you need to be 100% sure on that. While on the risk side, you may have to think that, okay, am I comfortable with the tail risk or no? So I think there is significant cultural and cultural mind shift that is required from that. And from an enterprise solution perspective, we always see, as I say, so far our many adaptation of, especially on the insurance industry, has been through a POC driven, through a AI tools driven, or some of the cases ML, machine learning driven. Should we continue to focus on a very isolated, fragmented use of AI, which is tool driven, or should we look at enterprise-wide solutions? The enterprise, because the real benefit of the insurance company will come into play only if we look at enterprise solution starting from a onboarding to the claims management, the entire life cycle management. However, currently, given there is a huge legacy system and legacy system inapplicable, I was hearing someday you can write a greenfield AI code and actually create an website in less than half an hour, but applying some of this AI intervention and at a legacy system with a siloized data and integration challenges is extremely difficult and complex. And it's not easy to actually discard all this investment that has happened in the AI legacy system and come to a position. So the challenge is that you need to, what is the process? How do you go? One of the easy and lazy process could be just to keep on doing the POC. And one of the reports I was reading, that 60% POC never see the day of the light. And that's what I called a pilot trap. It's actually trapped in the pilot. How do you get over this? Many of the organizations are now also feeling that you need to build a strong trust quotient with the AI. The organization having a high level of trust and trust within the ecosystem are able to come across an entire AI program across verticals and lead it from the top so that end-to-end things can be taken care of. You create a data repository, data warehouse, data platform at one side, and all the possible workflow are being run by some kind of an agentic AI approach. This requires a lot of significant management support and trust, lot of conviction at the management level, and then a lot of patience and conviction, and allow the slow and steady emerges. Insurance company, especially life insurance company, we are here for a long haul. And every stakeholders, whether it's a policyholder, shareholder, employee, regulators, even the distributors, all the stakeholders benefit from a long run of the aspect, because that's where the entire industry comes to a play. I think for us, it's important to look at AI and a long adaptation approach. Singularity is far away. We should steal AI as a scaffolding to the human mind and ensure that we keep on investing by looking at a long haul approach. And that's where the top-down approach will make much more sense than the bottom-up approach. Of course, we should do the bottom-up automation of multiple things, but I think there needs to relook at a top-down approach and look at the architecture in totality and create an orchestration around this architecture itself.
Yeah, thanks, Subhrajit. I think these are not easy decisions, correct? Like saying that I'm going to scrap the existing, I don't know, maybe have a budget of 100 crores for like exploring AI. Anyway, I think we'll also have to talk about the decision making. You talked about how agents can decide. So I think the decision is also something which we'll have to talk about. But before we get into those aspects, I would like Chandra to step in. I know you've worked on claims especially. So there is a use case here and how AI has been adopted for claim. And he comes from a reinsurance perspective, but I think he can also throw in some aspects of how a direct insurer could benefit by using AI in the claim process. So over to you, Chandra.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Claims is an interesting topic because it's the cornerstone of this industry. I think it's the moment of truth when the industry would be fulfilling the promise of paying what we're actually covering. So from a consumer perspective, it's very, very sensitive. It's very important. So be it a PNC product or be it a life or health insurance product, I think there's a lot of opportunity to transform by leveraging AI. So when you look at the current process, I think the claims process, it starts with a first notification of loss. Then there's a lot of data that's submitted as part of claims evidence. Then there is the adjudication process, the assessment, fraud checks and other things. Finally, the payment is made. And then what happens between that point to the point the payment is made is the elapsed time. So from a consumer experience perspective, there's a huge opportunity to change that, starting from the first notification of loss. So one interesting example that comes to my mind was this company called Lemonade, I think, which was one of the pioneers of leveraging artificial intelligence. They support, primarily they started off as a renter's insurance in the US, and now they expanded into multiple products. But basically, they have an app, and it's a very simple step. All they do, they say is, open the app, clicks the claims button, and then they just tell about what happened. And then there is AI that actually runs a bunch of algorithms behind the scenes, including fraud detection and other things. And then finally, a decision is actually made. So what they've really done is transform that whole claims experience. And the fastest they've recorded was, I think they might still be holding the record of that. It was from the point a claim was submitted to the point the claim was paid out, it was done in about three seconds. That's incredible, right? So when you look at even the whole process, now AI can transform the experience in the way claim can be submitted. In the past, it used to be just filling up a lot of paper-based forms or digital forms, but now it could be done in the form of video submissions. It could be done in the form of pictures. Like if there was a car accident and then a car got damaged, but if there was the ability to take a contextual video around that point in time, and then it really helps the claims adjudicators to actually have the right information to adjudicate that claim. And AI can also help with the adjudication process to kind of like quantify what might be the appropriate claim amount. So this is where I think there's a key role for that to play. And then the fraud part. So to go and do checks manually across different dimensions, I think that actually takes a lot of time. But if you leveraged the fraud detection capabilities, I think that part also could be automated and then kind of like improves the whole consumer experience. So yeah, in a nutshell, yes, AI has got plenty of roles to play in that whole claims process.
Yeah, and also I think on the life insurance side, we have a lot of complicated products, and we also have like different versions of the product. Every day, I think we are, every month we launch a new version of the product with a slight difference in benefit. So I think those, so we are operating with PDFs and paying while life insurance should be much more straightforward in terms of what we pay, but I think there's a lot of load in terms of how we set it up in the POL admin system. So you think, Subhrajit, any use case there that we can think of, from life insurance side? One is like, how do we speeden up the claims, like your term insurance kind of products? And even on the savings products, is there any benefit which we see?
You are asking from the claim point of
Yes,
view or
claim
any
point.
other point of view?
Claim point of view, we can
Claim
start.
point of view, I think it is because one of the things in the life insurance is that mostly the savings product, it's the asymmetry of the payoff is 1:10. Whereas in the term insurance, it is 1:500, 700 like that. So when your benefit versus risk is 1:10, most of the claim management I see should be very automated. And I think there are a few companies, organizations already giving a 24 hours claim. Many, at least in our organization, we have moved to a 40% claims are being paid in the first 24 hours itself. And we see for a savings case, we see that going very high level with the uses of AI. But there are other use cases of AI also in like distributions and other places.
Yeah, we'll come to, I mean, I think the claim is something which Chandra has worked on, and I thought, so any other, in terms of like paying the right claims, like how do we measure that we are paying the right claims? So we had a process till now, correct? And now we are going to introduce some of these AI tools, and the claim process is going to be faster probably, more efficient. But how do we make sure that we are more efficient? How do we measure that? Is there something that we can think of? I mean, we may be paying faster, but we may be paying more claims, or we may be denying claims. And who is the responsibility of the decision? Is it still with the human? Or is it we go to rely entirely on AIs? I mean, feel free to, these are all like initial, I think, initial
Absolutely.
days.
So I think, where a judgment made by an AI gets questioned is when a consumer is actually at loss, right? This is where I think it just gets the negative attention, right? So I think the right approach might be like, AI, you start off by taking care of what we call, you could potentially call noise or the low value claims, where there is not much resistance or there is not much question or ambiguity in how the decision was actually made. But when it comes to complex cases or when there are some ethical considerations to be involved, then AI does not have that capability today. So this is where I think a human needs to kind of like intervene. One interesting thing, I think this came up in my initial years working with underwriters. One of the things they would tell is, it wouldn't take them much time to actually make a decision, but then a lot of time is spent on finding the information that they need to make that decision. So I'm assuming it's the same thing for claims too. So when you are adjudicating a claim, it's about finding what is it that would prevent us from paying the claim. So if we had access to that information, then I think the claims adjudication process would be very, very fast. So I think the role of AI would be to kind of like, perhaps to start with, bringing that information to the surface where a human can actually look at from an ethical perspective, from also from the appropriateness perspective, and then make a decision.
So you're saying it should still be the human who is making the decision. I think at least for some time it is going to be the human who is going to make the decision. And probably we should be looking at these tools as something will help the human to make the decision. So you talked about underwriting, and Subhrajit, I know, especially in the life insurance industry, we have been trying to squeeze the time which is needed for underwriting, especially for protection. Correct? There's a lot of documentation which is required, and we still haven't reached the aspirational level as to a customer gives whatever is required, or we as an insurance company are able to articulate what is a requirement and the customer is able to submit all of those requirements easily and a policy gets issued. So do you see any benefits of AI in underwriting? And would you sponsor such a project? In your, just a free, I mean, again, what do you think?
Yes, I do. At the same time, it's not going to be easy. I just say that in a typical term insurance, the probability, the payoff versus the premium is almost 1:500 to 1,000. It's a very minuscule probability. Any analysis done on a very minuscule probability is prone to error. So even with the advanced AI, because it cuts in so many segmentations and so many fineness is involved in the pricing, that a little change in the behavior, it will create a lot of problems. So I see this is progressing slowly, especially with respect to very personalized offering. Okay, one of the advantage of the using AI is that it can really create extremely curated and personalized offering to the customer, which I think should evolve. Uh, that should evolve, and I expect that over a period of time, that personalized offering should be a real game changer for the life insurance industry itself. At the same time, I don't see the underwriting, especially for the term underwriting, completely go fully AI. It should be hopefully with some manual supervision, but as long as my key point is not about the underwriting, the key point is that as long as we are able to offer an extremely curated and personalized offering based on the health and other demographic and other psychographic and demographic features of the potential customer, I think we'll be able to create a real customer delight for the customers.
So on the distribution, we want to touch on the distribution aspects. I mean, we are, like you did speak about it briefly, like we operate with different channels. Now could AI do the selling, or is it going to help the distribution channels with the selling? How do you envisage this?
I think what we do with the distributors basically, especially in the life insurance where we operate, I think first is it helps us in reaching out. Secondly, it helps us in advising the client. And third is finally getting the conversion made. In case of a reaching out, I think the leads and the lead warming and lead filtering and lead management will be extremely useful with the help of AI. So I think currently we are flummoxed with thousands of leads and millions of leads. We don't know exactly how to do a very appropriate warming of the leads. So I think AI would do a really good job in doing that. So that will help to actually identify the right set of customers and figure out which customer to go. On the advisory piece, I suppose it will become the final, the life of the last mile salesman extremely easier, both in terms of training that has been given, the administrative work the last mile advisor is supposed to do, and creating an extremely curated and personalized sales proposition for the last mile salesman. So these are the few things, that training, the proposition, all these things will be extremely useful, and we see a significant productivity from the last mile salesman in the distribution space. So these are some of the things I'm pretty excited about. At the end of the day, the conversion will happen. The trust of a human being still will be required, and the conversion will happen at a face-to-face basis. So I am still believe that face-to-face will continue to happen, but it will be strongly AI enabled so that actually the life of the advisor becomes easy.
So we are, at least in the immediate future, not thinking of AI selling to my AI agent. That may not happen, I think. At least in the immediate future, we don't know what it's going to be like. So now, of course, there are a lot of use cases which we talked about. So as Indian insurance industry, so all of you can chip in here. So do we have the right talent, to scale AI responsibly? How should we think about it? Should we build in-house? Because we all own a lot of commercially sensitive data, correct? So is it right for us to build in-house? Do we have the talent, or do we get external help? So what are the thoughts around this?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah. So now, when we talk about AI, I think it also means machine learning, right? We're getting machines to learn, and then the machines are actually helping us to make decisions or to actually find risk scores and other things. So the most important building block of any machine learning model or AI is the data itself. So when we talk about a model is performing good or bad, or whether it's biased or it's drifting and other things, it's all based on the data. So, when we talk about building or buying AI models, it's about if we had data that is exclusive, that's unique, then it makes sense to build models. But if there are commercially available models like the commodity products like the OCR or the data digitization, or even products like that could read, the chest X-rays or the ECGs, or in a PNC world, it might be the pictures that might get uploaded as part of the claims process, et cetera, et cetera. So there are some commodity-based products, and these products, I think, it doesn't make sense to build them. It makes sense to actually buy them. And then put them into the process in such a way where, you just integrate the capabilities and then so that you can actually create that seamless journey that you want to deliver as a business outcome.
Subhrajit, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think we are a little far away from the singularity, so we have to depend on humans only to get the best out of the AI. And I think that's the reason as an organization, all the organizations should be harnessing the employees and the resources as best as they could. Clearly, I see a cultural shift to that extent. Okay, one of my realization over the period is that we are actually moving from, it's not a moving from knowledge to critical thinking to curiosity and creativity. I think it's a layered approach: knowledge, critical thinking, curiosity, and creativity. And as an organization, with this AI coming into play, especially with it used to be only a knowledge era up to a certain time. With the internet coming in, the knowledge become more and more democratized, and the critical thinking started playing an important role. With the AI coming into play, some of the critical thinking element will be taken by the AI also. And then there, I suppose we need to be more curious and creative in order to use AI and survive in the age of AI as well. The organization should be investing on some of the behavioral traits, not the hard, because we all know that there will be some users of data scientists and other AI persons who will be doing that core AI, but as an organization as a whole should be investing more on softer aspect like curiosity, agility, collaborations, working in multiple departments, working as a team, and such softer aspect will actually help not only the employees, but the organization also to use AI more effectively, because there are some of the traditional aspects that we have been doing will no longer be there. So some of these aspects like curiosity, innovation, creativity, agility, collaborations will help us to actually use AI better and grow within the organization. So some of the steps that we think should be our people's strategy.
So any thoughts on how we should, I mean, let's say we do sponsor some AI project and you spend some amount of money. So any obvious ways of measuring, how effective it is? Is it like claims ratio? Is it expense ratio? So what are the KPIs which we can, let's say the board approved, you spend this much on AI and I put in this kind of efficiency. How do I measure that it's effective, that it's really giving me value for money? I mean, these are, like I said, these are all exploratory thoughts at this moment. I think we are still in the initial stages of actually implementing AI at a significant level. But these are questions which any providers of capital are going to be asking us, correct? So how do we measure?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, right? So I think when you look at there are various ways of measuring it, right? So if you look at customer experience, then you could actually measure, it could be the time it takes to actually finish a process end to end. Then if you are looking from an internal efficiencies perspective, again, I think, the elapsed time could be a good measure, or the volume that you could actually complete could be a good measure. But I also wanted to kind of like, bring this perspective. A lot of times when we say about efficiency, I think there is a negative thought. It's all about, thinking about cost savings or limiting a certain, the capacity, right? But then when you apply to the context of like India, where you're actually looking at, X times growing, right? The 2047 vision, for example, there's a huge growth potential. So, but these capabilities are actually going to give us the additional capacity that we need, right, without adding too much from a resources perspective to process that kind of volumes. Because otherwise, if you said I want to do 5 times more business than what I'm doing today, then the one choice is actually you build 5 times more capacity, right, in terms of like human capital and processes and other things. Or the other way could be like you adopt technology and then use it as an enabler to actually get to the same point, but perhaps with a lot less cost. So if I had to simply put it, generating 10% savings versus supporting 20% growth, I think there are two different perspectives, and we'll have to take that into account when we do this ROI.
Very well said. Subhrajit, any?
Yeah, I think it depends, and honestly speaking, it depends on how are you looking at it? A very long haul? Are you in for a long haul, or you wanted to do a short-term quick fix and something? There is a FOMO that you have to adopt AI, and there is a what we are doing. And as a result, as I say, 80% some of the AI GNA projects are not seen the day of the light. But having said that, you need to also need to be involved in the AI process as well. Unfortunately or fortunately, there is a lot of ambiguity. In today's world, although we love to seek clarity as a human being, there will be ambiguity inherent in the entire process. So as long as you are comfortable with the ambiguity, as long as you are comfortable with the discovering the new thing that is coming into play, I think our AI strategy will play along. We need to have a very calibrated approach with patience as the key thing, key enabler, and see how it is going to. Don't rush into something just because it's become a hype. But it's important. It's not a hype, it's real. Only you need to figure out from the wheat from the chaff and need to see what we need to invest, and a long-term outlook, a slightly longish-term outlook would help in investing in AI, and I think ROI would be immense. But it's important to get some level of understanding. I will not say because as I say, it will be ambiguous. Some level of understanding, some level of triangulation to be done to understand what is in play, some level of visualization to see how do you going to invest. And that is going to be a grapple in all organization, all boards, all management. But I think as we triangulate more and more and start connecting the dots, we'll get some clarity in the picture, hopefully not full, if not full, yeah.
Raman, you want to add something?
I think we have sufficient talent in our teams and in India, right? The only thing is that we have to educate people more about how we can use AI in our day-to-day work to make our work easier. Once people will understand that, AI will automatically get integrated in various systems and people can use that rather than just getting scared from it and taking it as a software which needs to be learned. So that can make actually a difference in the learning.
So I think, so that's slightly different from the top-down approach which Subhrajit said. So as people start using tools, they'll also start putting it in their day-to-day work.
Exactly.
Correct? And therefore, there could be some kind of efficiencies which will come up and maybe that can be scaled up. So
Right.
final thoughts on what's going to happen to actuaries? How should we kind of be equipped? So is this an opportunity for us to regain our title as the data scientists? So
Definitely, I think when you really look at, say, 50 years back when the actual profession existed. So back then, the tools that we had were mainly paper, perhaps calculators. And then came the technology, right? And we have a lot of digital tools that were available at our disposal, and I think that actually enabled us to do things better. So I think it's just this journey of evolution that goes on. AI is another tool. I think it just gives us capabilities to handle, vast amounts of data that normally the current non-AI tools can't handle. So I would think, yes, the AI is just another toolkit that would be at the disposal of the actuarial, colleagues and the actuaries, and it would just be another enabler to kind of navigate the challenges that we're going to see in the future.
I think as an actuary, we are in a great position to leverage AI because, as I said, the first tools are with us now, the knowledge and the critical thinking. I think we need to be more curious and more creative in our approach and use AI as a scaffolding and to grow and ensure we become part of the society to get a societal permission. So he said to get a permission from the society, social permission, so that we can work to use our actual resources for the greater good of the society.
I think we are running. Do we have time for questions? Of one or two?
One question for sure, ma'am.
Yeah, so any question? I think we can talk for the entire day, maybe one or two questions.
We'll pass on the mic. We request you to please keep the question brief as much as possible.
Thank you, panelists. Like, this was a good discussion around AI. And my question is on the slide that Raman showed, when AI machine learning is being done, and then on top of that, we are asking AI to provide the insight. Now, what are the guardrails placed there? Because for a given analysis that is performed by any conventional regression or even machine learning, AI can give you 5 answers to your 5 questions on the same data. And then which one is right? So what are the guardrails that you have planned around it so that you can trust? Because the whole theme here is digital trust, and are we able to trust that answer of AI? And which answer should be trusted, basically? So what are the plans there?
Yeah, thanks for getting with this question. So for each layer, as I already mentioned, that governance and ethical oversight has to be embedded at each step. So there comes the professional judgment. So whenever we get any results from the AI, there has to be a human professional who has to validate those assumptions, those results, as per the experience that they have. Because AI is still in the evolving stage. The more we will correct them, the more we will give them the right answer, next time there are chances that it will give us the more correct answer. So it's again a learning intelligence that is still evolving.
So we are talking here the calibration of AI upfront with the help of actuaries to make it perfect so that next time your answer is, as per what you are.
Right. So there has to be an actuary at every step. That's why I said in the end, it is not to replace the actuarial effort. It is more to add on the effort, that basically reduce our effort in getting into the manual nitty-gritties that we might not be able to do manually. So AI can help us to do to go to such granular level.
Thank you.
So thanks for an interesting, I think we'll wind up now, and the panelists will be available. I think you can interact with them during tea time. Thanks for a wonderful discussion. I think, I don't know whether these are early days, because like 3 months back we were talking about something, and now we are like, it's AI is progressing so fast. So of course we have to be prepared for it, and I think that's, it's very rare that we get an opportunity like this to be present when some transformative technology like this is available. So we have to ride the journey as it comes. And so as actuaries also, we should keep evolving. So thanks once again for an insightful discussion. Thank you.